A very good morning, dear students of class 8. Welcome to your social science class. So students, since this is your personal study time, I am going to help you all with your personal studies by explaining to you all the next topic of the chapter land, soil, water, natural vegetation and wildlife. So today we will start with the topic natural vegetation and wildlife. But students, before starting with today's topic, we will do a revision of the topic water, which we discussed in our last class. So students, we came to know about water and its importance. So our earth is called a water planet because 3/4 of the earth's surface is covered with water. And students, 2/3 of the water that is available on earth is ocean water. But ocean water, as we all know, is not fit for human use. Why? Because it is saline, it is salty water. And students, only 2.7% water which is available on earth is fresh water. And of these 2.7%, 70% is found in the form of glaciers and ice sheets. So that means only a very small percentage, that is 1% of fresh water, is available for human use. So students, we then discussed about the various problems related with water, the problem of water scarcity. So we came to know that with the increasing population, the rising demand for agriculture, for industry, water is being used excessively, or you can say the overexploitation of water is taking place. So because of that, water scarcity is seen taking place. So it may be because of two reasons. Sometimes because of the drying up of the water bodies, or sometimes because of the contamination of water, that is water pollution. And then we discussed about the various measures that can be adopted to prevent the loss of water or to solve the problem of water scarcity. We discussed about water harvesting. We discussed about drip irrigation or sprinkler irrigation system, and then we discussed about how canals should be constructed in lines so as to avoid the seepage of water, isn't it? So in this way we discussed various measures to planting of more and more trees so that the soil can be covered with more and more natural vegetation. So in this way several steps can be taken in order to protect the water from getting over exploited. So students, today we will discuss about the next important natural resource which forms the earth, that is natural vegetation and wildlife. So students, we all know that natural vegetation and wildlife are two of the very important natural resources. These are two of the very important valuable resources. Okay. So students, natural vegetation and wildlife are found in the biosphere. What is biosphere? Biosphere is the region or the surface of the atmosphere which is occupied with the living organisms. Living organisms can be anything. It can be plants or it can be animals as well. So the region of the atmosphere where we can find living organisms is known as the biosphere. And we all know that all the living organisms, be it plants or animals, are mutually dependent upon each other. They interact with each other and they are also dependent upon each other. So this support system is known as the ecosystem. So students, ecosystem is basically the biological community of the living organisms which interact with each other, the plants as well as the animals. And students, these plants and animals are very important in the ecosystem to keep a balance in the ecosystem. There are numerous uses of these plants and animals. For example, the plants provide us with food, the plants provide us with wood, it gives us shelter, it gives us oxygen to breathe, then it protects the soil from getting eroded, isn't it? It protects the soil from soil degradation. And then students, it helps in storing of the underground water, isn't it? It provides us fruits, it provides us vegetables, it provides us turpentine oil. Turpentine oil is something which has medicinal value. It can be used to treat nerve pain, it can be used to treat muscle pain, joint pain, toothache, etc. And then it provides us with latex, it provides us with gums, it provides us with so many medicinal trees. So you see, these plants are so useful to us. It provides us with paper. Paper is so essential for the students in their academic life, isn't it? So the the plants have numerous use. So that is why they are considered as one of the valuable resources. Okay. Now coming to the wildlife. Just like the plants or the natural vegetations, the wildlife also are very, very important, students. The wildlife include the animals, the birds, the insects, as well as the aquatic life. That means the lives which are there in the sea or in the oceans. Okay, so these animals, they provide us with milk, they provide us with meat, they provide us with wool, isn't it? And students, these insects provide us with honey, isn't it? For example, bee provides us with honey, isn't it? And then these insects help in the fertilization of the plants, that is the process of pollination, isn't it? And then students, these insects play a very important role as decomposers. Decomposers means when they die, they decay, or they are rotten, so they get mixed with the soil, which provides nutrients to the soil. And then the vultures are basically the birds who feed on dead animals, who feed on dead livestock. So since they feed on dead livestock, they helps in cleaning the environment, so they act as an important cleanser. Okay, so in this way, different plants and different animals are useful to us. They serve so many purposes. Okay, so this is the importance of natural vegetation and wildlife. Now coming to the next topic, that is the distribution of natural vegetation. So students, the growth of vegetation, that means their height, their density, all these things depends primarily upon the temperature and the moisture. Moisture means the humidity. So students, there are 4 major types of vegetations. They are forest, number 1, number 2 is grassland, number 3 is scrubs, and number 4 is tundra. So forest, we all know, is covered with huge trees, and the density of the trees also is very high in the forest. Then comes the grasslands. Grasslands are basically the areas which are covered with grasses. Then comes the scrubs. Scrubs basically are the areas which are covered with shrubs. Shrubs means very small plants whose height is very less. And then comes the tundra vegetation. These are basically the treeless areas which are found in the polar regions, in the icy regions. So there are 4 types of vegetation: forest, grassland, scrub, and tundra. And students, we all know that the growth of the plant, it basically depends upon the climate or the availability of water supply. If the water supply is more, then the plants will grow more. If the water supply is less, then the plants will grow less. So accordingly, we can understand that forests are basically found in such areas where there is abundant water supply, where there is heavy rainfall, where rainfall takes place frequently. So the forests basically are found in such areas where in such areas which support rainfall, where rainfall takes place frequently. Okay, then comes the grassland. So the grassland are mostly found in such areas where the climate is moderate, not very high, not very cold, or not very hot. So where the rainfall also is moderate. So we find that the grasslands are very small in size, isn't it? The grasses basically. Then comes the scrubs. Scrubs basically are the places where shrubs are grown. Shrubs means very little very small plants. So shrubs are found in the areas where the rainfall is very less, very less. So first is the forest, where the trees are very large, or where the density of the trees is very high. So it basically is found in the areas where there is heavy rainfall, where there is abundant water supply. Then comes the grasslands, where the rainfall is moderate. Then comes the scrubs where the rainfall is very, very less. And then comes the tundras. Tundras are basically the treeless regions where there is no rainfall at all, the dry regions. Okay, so in this way we can categorize the different types of natural vegetation. Now students, let us come to the division of the forest. Forests are mainly divided into two categories: evergreen forest and deciduous forest. So evergreen forest, as the name itself suggests, means the forest where the trees never shade their leaf in any particular region. That means throughout the year the trees will be full of leaves. So such forests are known as evergreen forest. On the other hand, deciduous forests are those forests in which the trees, they shade their leaves in some particular season. And do you know why they shade their leaves? It happens mainly because of the water cycle. It has link with the water cycle. So students, what happened? Because of excessive heat, as I have already told you all, the water evaporates and the liquid water, it gets mixed with the atmosphere. And then what happens? The water from the trees and the plants, it also gets mixed with the atmosphere. So when the water from the trees and the plants enters into the atmosphere, the trees and the plants, it dries up, and when it dries up, it automatically shades its leaves. So when, because of and this process is known as transpiration. So when the water from the trees and the leaves, because of evaporation, enters into the atmosphere, the trees and the plants, it dries up. Okay, and because of this loss of moisture, the trees, they shed their leaves. So in this way we can find two categories of forest. One forest is the evergreen forest where you will see leaves in the trees throughout the year. But in case of deciduous forest, the trees shed their leaves in some particular seasons. And then students, these evergreen and deciduous forests in turn are further subdivided or categorized into tropical forest and temperate forest. So tropical forest basically are the forest, or you can say the tropical regions basically are the regions where there is extreme climate. Sometimes the season will be dry season, or sometimes the season will be wet season. So dry and wet, these are two extreme seasons, isn't it? So tropical regions basically are the regions which have distinctive seasons, which have extreme seasons. Either it will be dry or it will be wet. But on the other hand, temperate regions mostly are the regions which are more or less same only. The weather is moderate, neither too dry nor too wet. So how are trees categorized? Trees are categorized into evergreen, how are forests categorized? Forests are categorized into evergreen forest and deciduous forest. And these evergreen and deciduous forests are in turn subdivided into tropical and temperate forest depending on the season or the climatic condition. Okay, and students, nowadays we see that because of the increase in the population, what happens? More and more population means higher demand for houses, higher demand for agriculture, higher demand for industries. So as a result, trees are being cut down. So initially, if we look back 20 years, back, there were lots of forests, but now there are hardly any forests left because most of the forests are being cleaned for constructional purposes, be it for the construction of houses or for the construction of industries or for agricultural purposes. So as a result, what happens? Our natural vegetation is on the verge of extinction. It is vanishing rapidly. So what we should do is we should find out some ways in order to protect and to conserve these natural vegetations, because if there will be no vegetations, if there will be no natural vegetations, the animals won't be able to survive. As I have already told you, in an ecosystem, both the animals and the plants are dependent upon each other for their survival. So the environment will be under a threat, isn't it? So it's high time that we should find out some ways to protect these natural vegetation from getting vanished or from getting exhausted. So students, in the next class we will discuss about the various conservation measures in order to conserve or in order to protect the wildlife and the natural vegetation. Okay. So students, today we have discussed about the natural vegetation and wildlife. Why are they important? Their various uses. And then we discussed about the categories of vegetation, 4 categories: forest, grasslands, scrub and tundra. We discussed about the characteristics of all those 4 categories of natural vegetation, and then we also discussed about 2 major types of forest: evergreen and deciduous forest. We also discussed how they are subdivided into tropical and temperate forest. And then we discussed about the threat to the natural vegetation and to the wildlife resources. So students, I hope you have understood. In case you have any doubt, do let me know. Okay. So now I'm going to show you your homework for today. These 3 questions are your homework for today's class. So in the first question, you have to write about 3 uses each of vegetation and wildlife. That means 3 uses of natural vegetation and 3 uses of wildlife. Okay. In the second question, you have to write about the major types of vegetation. Just mention their names: forest, grasslands, scrubs and tundra. And then in the last question, you have to distinguish between evergreen and deciduous forest. 3 points. Make 2 separate columns and write 3 points each. Okay. Okay then students, thank you. Take care and have a nice day.